All right, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining Tech in Ghana this year. It's Tech in Ghana virtual. So I'm going to start with a few words around Tech in Ghana and discuss the panel. And thereafter, I'll give a brief introduction of the healthcare sector in Ghana. And thereafter, the panelists will do a quick introduction of themselves. And we'll really dive into different questions that we want to ask the panelists. So my name is Sewu-Steve Tawia. I'm originally from Ghana, moved around, and I'm really happy to introduce you to Tech in Ghana, which has been running for a number of years now. Essentially, Tech in Ghana is, this year's theme is power of collaboration and really bringing the ecosystem together to find solutions. So this particular panel is really targeting the healthcare sector in Ghana and seeing how tech can contribute to the evolution of the ecosystem. So maybe a few brief lines. Essentially, what we are trying to understand is how technology can help really change the narrative around healthcare, and specifically which opportunities, challenges, and risks are in the healthcare sector in Ghana. We've got an outstanding panel of people that are really going to give us an overview of the sector. I have to apologize to our viewers and listeners. We haven't been able to find a gender balanced platform, a panel today, but we'll do better next time, obviously. So essentially, what I would really want to give you an idea of is the current ecosystem, and then I'll introduce the panelists after. Essentially, Ghana spends on average $150 per person on health, which is about roughly 3.6% of the GDP. One of three main sources or cause death in Ghana, which is very sad, is malaria, prenatal death, and the third one is stroke. The other point is, in sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana stands out for its high rate of health insurance, 40%, mostly notably through the NHIS, which is a very good number. I think more can be done, but it's quite good. The healthcare sector still faces a number of challenges, including shortage of medical professionals, and especially the recent rise of non-communicable diseases, NCDs. The other factor is child mortality, as I mentioned earlier, is relatively high, with 52 out of 1,000 babies born below the year of 5 years old who actually die, and 36 out of 1,000 below 1 year old. And even though these numbers are still bad, I think it's been a huge improvement of a reduction of minus 60 to 50% since 1990. So it's been a big achievement. More recently, the World Bank has analyzed that Ghana has a rural population of nearly 44% in 2018. And what we've noticed is that the ratio of doctors to the population in those rural regions were 1 for every 18,000 people, which is crazy, compared to rural areas, which is 1 for 4,000, in the region. But it's not all doom and gloom. I think the positive effect of mobile penetration across the continent, and in Ghana in particular, is really a great opportunity to design products and services that will help bridge that health gap. So essentially, mobile health services can help rural Ghana and urban Ghana really bridge those gaps. And you can look at the SDGs. So from that short introduction of the healthcare ecosystem and trends in Ghana, I would like to introduce you to our four panelists, which are Daniel Marfo from Zipline, Selorm Branttie from mPedigree, Laud Anthony from Incas Diagnostics, and Quao from Redbird. So I think the panelists can come on the scene now, and they will briefly introduce themselves quickly. maybe while they're coming on the scene. So as I mentioned to you, I'm Sewu-Steve Tawia. I'm one of the co-founders of Accra Angels Network, and also a founder of Asime Ventures, which is essentially a business angel investing entity. So with the Accra Angels, we pooled a number of angel investors all from Ghana to invest in startups across the various sectors in Ghana. I must say, I've personally invested in 2 startups in Ghana, and I have a portfolio of 15 of them across Nigeria, Kenya, Madagascar, Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the scene. We're still missing Laud, I think, but maybe it's just on audio. So with that, let's start with Andrew, please. Andrew. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Yeah, back on. Yeah, so good morning to the audience. Glad and privileged to be able to share the information or the story of Redbird and myself. So I'm a pharmacist with a health policy background. Been working with the public sector a lot from 2010. Working more using technology for both the hardware and software. So rapid tests for malaria and software for providing support to the public health sector workers. Did that with the USAID for 6 years, and then I'm left on to form Redbird as one of the co-founders. I have 2 other co-founders, both Americans. And essentially what Redbird is doing is we are trying to make healthcare more convenient. Starting from Ghana, Sub-Saharan Africa, we're trying to make healthcare more convenient. And what we do is we take existing rapid diagnostic technology, and then we pair up with our proprietary software and trying to bring this together. So in essence, we are giving people, say, to be able to do something in 5 minutes. So the power of like a high relevant and high quality lab results in 5 minutes at your community pharmacy for what would have taken people, say, half a day or even more than that to be able to do at a hospital. So you're able to do that. Currently, we launched in 2018. At present, we are in about 300 partner pharmacies in Accra and Kumasi mostly, and these are all network pharmacies. So we are helping people to manage their chronic diseases by just walking into your neighborhood pharmacy anytime you see the Redbird test, and you have an array of up to about 10 panels that we have now, and you'll be able to walk into any of those pharmacies and assess your previous results, have your lab results done, ranging from things like cholesterol, anemia, typhoid, Hep B, and all that. So that's what we've been doing so far.
Thank you very much.
Just branch offices in Accra, Kumasi. We are venture-backed investors from the Valley, investors South Africa, and all that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You may want to quickly have a look at your connection. Sometimes it drops. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So let's go to Selorm, please.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes,
so my name is Selorm Branttie. I am the strategy director for mPedigree. mPedigree is a tech organization founded in Ghana, but has a footprint across Africa. We deal mostly in the area of supply chain, track and trace. So our biggest activity or range of activity is helping those who buy pharmaceutical products be able to authenticate their products to know whether they are fake or original using a text message. So we started this concept in Ghana, but it's mainly rolled out in countries like Nigeria and Kenya, etc. The basic intent of this is to ensure that once products are ready for purchase, or pharmaceutical products or medicines are ready for purchase, patients will be able to buy the original products, and then the analytics derived from the use or from consumer behavior could be used to instruct different scenarios in the healthcare sector. We've also developed another technology called cold chain, which basically helps people to track whether medicines have been in the right ambient temperature, especially those that are supposed to be in the cold chain, things like blood, things like vaccines, for example. And we are going beyond that to also even be able to record first instances of vaccine usage as part of the cold chain methodology, so that in the future, we'll be able to digitize the process of doing things like submitting your yellow fever card when you go to the airport, so that we can create a digital exchange for such things. So that's basically what we do at mPedigree.
Thank you very much, Selorm. Please, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Steve. So my name is Daniel Marfo. I'm a pharmacist by training, and I'm a co-founder for a company called RX Health Infosystems, where we build healthcare software across the value chain in sub-Saharan Africa. Some of our most well-known platforms include digitizing health insurance for private players in Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, and DRC. And I wear a second hat where I am also the Senior Vice President for Zipline in Africa, where essentially we are using autonomous drones to be able to do true last mile distribution of medical products and blood products to health facilities. We are currently available in Ghana, Rwanda, expanding very quickly across Africa. We are in India, and we are also in the US. And specifically zoning in on Ghana, we currently have 4 Zipline distribution centers, from which we are able to distribute to be able to fly autonomously drones to 2,000 health facilities across the country. Since we started operations in April 2019 to date, we have delivered over 150,000 medical products and blood products to these 2,000 health facilities and counting. So that is, in short, what we do.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Now we're going to hear from Laud, who's only on audio because his video is not working. Okay. Laud, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. So my name is Laud Anthony Bassing, and so I am the founder of Incas Diagnostics. Incas Diagnostics is a test kit development and manufacturing company located in Kumasi. Currently, we have branches in Accra and Tamale as well, but mainly our manufacturing plant is in Kumasi. Basically, we have about 6 products on the market right now. We've developed 7 products. 6 of them have been approved by the FDA. One is still in the process. When you talk about innovative products, some of our products like the pregnancy test, the test for typhoid, and all of that, those ones are products in the system. But we have about 3 products that were basically the first and only companies to produce globally. And those are the ones that we've achieved global acclaim for. So the first was a 3-in-1 test for vaginal infections. Anytime somebody suspects that they have a vaginal infection, they'll go to the hospital often. A doctor or a lab tech take a swab sample, and then it will take about 3 days before they get their results. The problem with this is that it is invasive, it's time consuming, there's a lot of, it's privacy and all of that. But we have developed a test that you can do at home. It's a 3-in-1 test for the 3 organisms that cause vaginal infection. All you need to do is to use your urine just like a pregnancy test. And then at the end of the day, you'll be able to tell which of the 3 organisms you have, and then a doctor can easily treat you. We attach an app to this so that you can speak to the doctor and test and get treatment for it. So that is the first one we did. That was our first product, and we got a lot of awards and acclaim because of it as at the time. Even as of now, it's still the only one worldwide. The second one, which we've also got acclaim for, is a test for a neglected tropical disease called JAWS. This affects children living in very rural communities in Africa, in the Caribbean. Actually, Ghana is the most endemic country in the world when it comes to numbers. When you talk about population, places like Papua New Guinea and others are higher, but when it comes to the numbers. Ghana is the most endemic in the world. Previously, we had to take the sample, send it to the US, to the CDC, for them to do the test, and then send us the results before we go and treat the children. And treating the children was just a single dose of azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. It's okay to get rid of the disease. So
thank you.
We have developed a test that will be able to do that. So basically, that is what Incas does in general. Yes, thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for the extensive introduction, Laud. So it's funny enough, what I was thinking is that I had a number of questions for you, but the one in particular is coming to my mind when the four of you have presented. Let me ask you just a question. Have you ever, the four of you, collaborated? Let's say let's start with Andrew.
Yeah, so collaborated, not yet exactly. I think we've had a bit of conversation, Laud, with your people. Spoken to, we've had some outreach. We've been discussing the possibility of working, especially with Laud, because we are into rapid tests, and then you guys do manufacture the rapid test. So we've had a couple of your people reach out to us. I'm sure you are very familiar with my CEO, Patrick, who knows you. We've had some discussions, but I think we haven't just sat around to really just work the partnership together. And it's essentially, I think that is stemming from the stages in which we are, where we are sort of trying to validate, we're actually trying to validate the use case for people going to the pharmacy. We've seen a lot of traction within 2 years, jumping to 300 pharmacies. So I think there's definitely the interest there to work something as we move along, but it's not something that we've done much. Not making an excuse that we haven't been around for long. But definitely, we've had that discussion in-house. I think we just haven't crystallized that into action.
So let's make sure you commit in this particular tech in Ghana to reach out and drive something to get something executed. Okay? How about yourself, Selorm?
Yes. So Laud is someone I know very well. We've talked about possibly doing something together. We just haven't moved fully because, of course, he's also building a portfolio of products that that he's still about to put on the market. So there has been that intent. With the others, not much because although we are working in the health industry, sometimes the kind of clients we are going to work with are different. So the point where probably that intersection will come in usually will be maybe in the areas of like data exchange or certain particular scenarios where the intent will be that one service complements another service, and therefore it will be far easier for that collaboration to take place. Because I believe that is what is going to happen as these ecosystems evolve. We're going to have use cases where, for example, I'll need to link up with a chain of pharmacies, and then Andrew will be of help because with his direct link with these ones, it means that we can then do some kind of traceability analysis or market analysis based on the what medicines we are, let's say, protecting, and then which parts or which pharmacies are the ones really distributing those medicines. So once the demand for certain particular types of knowledge and insights begin to crop up, a lot of these collaborations will begin to take place. That's how I see it happening.
Okay, thank you very much, Selorm. And how about Daniel? We haven't heard from you.
Yeah, so I know Andrew personally, not from a collaboration standpoint, but I think what I'm hearing the other panelists, it goes to a much, for me, a deeper challenge that exists in the health tech space. So if you look a lot at edutech and fintech, the players there are more, they meet regularly. They have a lot of the tech platforms are geared towards fintech, edutech, agrotech, but very little is geared towards health tech. So you don't find a lot of the players having common platforms to essentially meet and exchange ideas and even know what the others are doing.
Right? Why don't you create one? There's even the from MES. That spin-off from MES, who is an accelerator of health tech. I forgot the name. Africa Health Tech something. Yeah, great one. Create a WhatsApp group, exchange, get yourself out there, you know.
Yeah, so I think that is it. I think the players in the health tech space just haven't been able to come together to create that. But I think this would be a catalyst for such a collaboration to take place. And I entreat other panelists. I mean, we can start something small from here and then grow it to the other people in the space.
I like concrete action. Thank you very much, Daniel. Maybe before I leave the panel for Laud, I wanted to mention something. We reached out to the elephant not in the room, and farmer Gregory Rodson. So at some point we'll try and reach out to him, maybe to get some more insight. But yeah, essentially there are a number of healthcare actors that I think should come together and really start driving the conversation, even at the policy level with the government, Ministry of Health, etc., etc. If it's not already the case. I know some of you are already, yes. So come back to you, Andrew. Let us hear from Laud for the collaborations.
Oh, okay. I think Selorm and Branttie, they've already even talked about what has been going on. I think when it comes to and Patrick, we've actually gone very far. I've held a number of meetings with Patrick, and we are thinking about collaborating. Of course, the particular rapid test kits they want, we have to go back to the drawing board and get them. But we are talking about collaboration. Selorm, we are still talking, so very soon.
Thank you. Andrew, do you want to pick up on something?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, the elephant not in the room, I'm Pharma. We currently have a partnership with them. We are essentially the rapid diagnostic service for their quality RX pharmacies that we've rolled out in Ghana. We are looking even beyond Ghana to Kenya, Nigeria as well. So I think naturally, when intersection happens, we are looking to collaborate, but I think we could catalyze that a bit more by being more deliberate about that and seeing, building this from Ghana. I think all the people on the panel, some are already Pan-African, and I think everyone is looking to be at least Pan-African and become a global player. So it's something that it's really necessary for us. We see value in that, and we would push it anytime we come to a place where it really makes good business opportunity or business sense for us. So.
Okay, thank you very much. So Selorm, let me ask you a question specifically. I'm not a Ghana healthcare sector expert. I've read a lot, etc. I've actually looked at a number of companies to invest in, including Redbird. And what I have tried to understand is what, for you specifically, are the, let's say, top 2 or 3 bottlenecks, challenges that the healthcare sector in Ghana could really look into, apart from the ones you are solving specifically with your company. I know.
The bottlenecks are many. I think that how would I describe it? I think first of all, there's a huge gap between what the practitioners do, the healthcare practitioners themselves. So when I talk about practitioners, I'm talking about doctors, nurses, pharmacists, those actually in doing the actual hard job of the healthcare activity, and the technologies available that they could harness or use currently to ease their work or fix some of the problems. So if you talk about things like patient records, for example, if you talk about things like inventory management, for example, if you talk about things like prescription management, for example, a lot of us in the tech industry that are intersecting with the health industry are developing really nifty solutions to be able to handle a lot of these challenges. However, you would realize that there is a huge gap between the intent or the products that we develop and we put out into the market and the willingness of the practitioners to actually adopt these to the extent that we would have expected them to, for them to be able to deliver the kinds of results that we want, or the outcomes in the healthcare. And I believe that is because there are 2 things that are happening. We are moving quite on the, let's say, cutting edge or bleeding edge in terms of healthcare innovation, especially in Ghana and in Africa, at least those countries that have a vibrant software industry, because we aspire to be at par with what we see in the West, for example. But you would realize that those who are the real practitioners are a bit stuck, sometimes 10, 15, 20 years behind. So, for example, if you have a system that is digitized on a tablet, that will allow, let's say, a nurse dispensing vaccination for a 3-day-old child, let's say BCG vaccination for a 3-day-old child in Ketakrachi, they are not prone to putting that information on the tablets so that it will be digitized to the point where when that child moves from Ketakrachi and maybe 15 years later is flying to the US, that particular information would have been digitized onto a QR code for that child to be able to submit at an airport, let's say in Accra or in JFK, to facilitate that travel. That gap, I believe, is what is the biggest problem. The second one would be that the encouragement mechanisms for healthcare practitioners to begin to use these solutions is not there. When I say encouragement mechanisms, I'm talking about facilitations by the biggest employer of the healthcare industry in Ghana, which is the government or the Ghana Health Service. That particular infrastructure to help them transition from the old ways of doing things to the new ways of doing things is non-existent. So there is no encouragement, no incentive, and these incentives are not marketed. Unfortunately, those of us in the private sector are spending so much resources just trying to build software and solutions and market them that we don't even have what it takes. Like you in the pharmaceutical sector, for example, if Pfizer or Novartis or Sanofi or NS Chemist develops a drug, they're able to do a workshop and then they'll bring pharmacists together and doctors together and go like, oh, this is our new product, send it to the market, have them test it with your patients, and patients get to love it, and then suddenly it's all the shelves, and that's the easiest part. For us, we now have to, where are we going to even have the convening power to be able to bring Ghana Health Service together, bring Ghana Medical Association together, bring Ghana Pharmaceuticals, the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana together, bring Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives together to be able to even showcase some of these things, because even the leadership of these organizations, and sorry to say, they are almost in the Jurassic era. And
hey,
we are the ones.
At least.
I said almost in the Jurassic era. So bringing them now to the modern 21st century way of doing things, it's really a heavy task. So for me, this is what I can say are the two biggest issues. I don't know about the others, but for me, from my experience trying to do this, running this is very clearly for me, those are the two biggest issues.
Thank you very much, Selorm.
Yeah,
just give me a minute. Yeah, just give me a minute. So thank you very much, darling. I think you've done two things. You've answered the question that was posed by a participant. So exactly this. So technologies are developed, but the take-up by the end users is not good enough. And as you said, there's capacity building, etc. That has to be done by the biggest employer of the healthcare sector in Ghana. Thank you very much. So Daniel, please.
Before I mention what I think are the two biggest challenges, I wanted to react to what Selorm mentioned. And I'm coming from a point where I am putting on my cap as a pharmacist. So I'm a beneficiary of the technology they would build. And in my experience, when you're talking with technology companies developing technology for the healthcare service industry, the big gap is we are developing the technology on one side, thinking about the patient and what it will bring to the patient, but we don't have enough interactions with the other stakeholders, such as, he mentioned, Medical and Dental Council, Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, the people who will actually use this technology and in the end make it accessible for the patient, right? And I think that is always the gap in trying to create a solution. We become very patient focused, but we forget that there are other key stakeholders who have enough control over whether your solution is successful or not. And we only bring them in at the end when we feel we finished developing the technology and want to share it with them, and not rather rope them in as part of the solution development. So I think that to me is one of the big gaps that exist in building health tech solutions, especially for sub-Saharan Africa. And if you take a look at a lot of the health tech companies in Europe, US, a lot of them have doctors, pharmacists, medics, part of the team, part of the founding team, who drive the solution and speak the language that these people want to hear and make sure that it looks that way for them. So I think that is the gap, and the more we begin to see them not as part of the testing, but as part of developing the solution, we would move them more and more. To me, what the two biggest challenges are, I would sum it in one: it's healthcare access. For me, it's just one: it's access, and access has many different fronts. It's people being able to find quality, trustworthy medication, diagnostic service, medical service when they want it, when they need it. And the moment we can actually solve the access challenge, access to quality healthcare, we've actually solved a lot of the problems. So for me, I would say that is really the brunt of the problem that exists today.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for the extended response. Selorm, do you want to pick up on that, or shall I move on to Andrew? You made a response to your point about the user versus the mPedigree user.
Yeah, so I think that usually is on a case-by-case basis, depending on which developer we are talking about and depending on which use case we are talking about. In my personal experience, for example, when we are doing these things, even right from inception stage, we involve quite a lot of people in the whole spectrum of the. That is why even right off the bat, I was able to even name the few basic what do you call it, players, because stakeholders, because you see, when you are developing something for the healthcare industry, you can't. And this is for a lot of rookie guys, especially those who are just starting. Most of them just focus on laser focus on just one participant in the chain. So for example, if you are doing something for a patient, the patient has to interact with somebody who does a diagnosis, somebody who does a prescription, somebody who dispenses that prescription, somebody who monitors the dispensation of that prescription, and then a regulatory body that possibly regulates the behavior of the flow of how all of these things take place. So if you are building technology for the healthcare area, for example, these are the things that we have gotten to know from experience. But Daniel is right, because for some people, they just begin and laser focus on one. But in my personal experience, it hasn't been that way. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Andrew? Your top two challenges in the healthcare sector in Ghana, or one?
Yes. Yeah. So I go when I talk of the challenge, or when I think of the challenges to the healthcare sector, my go-to point is the service delivery. Right. I feel that the system as it's set up. I mean, if you speaking mostly of the public sector, the system as it's set up was kind of set up to treat acute conditions. So sport is one time, the next person. So there's not that relationship being built with the caregiver, right? Or the caregiver, the clinicians, the pharmacists, everyone is doing on the spot. So you come in today, this is your problem, I'm done with you, that is it. You come in another time, you could go see whoever you want. And we are sort of, if you teed on the stats, right? Chronic diseases coming in. Chronic diseases. Unfortunately, if A gets it and gets into the healthcare system, he doesn't leave the healthcare system until he passes on, right? So when you get, if two people get malaria, the first person goes in, leaves in, and then the second person takes a spot. For chronic diseases, which are now coming up, like the diabetes, like when A gets diabetes, get diagnosed of diabetes, he stays in the system. When you add B, you're adding two people. So over time, you keep increasing the number, and the system is not adapting as much to be able to accommodate that. So you're seeing, for example, very, very fragmented care, long wait times. So a diabetic could go to the hospital in the morning and come back in the evening, or wait for like 6 hours, see the doctor. Doctor takes like 2-3 minutes, looks at their thing and say, okay, you're fine, and then just repeat the dose. So it's a big problem that and I'm being biased because that's what we are, the solution, the thing that we are tackling, which is trying to make the healthcare more convenient. And what we are seeing is there are tools, Selorm rightly mentioned, like there are tools that are there, but the system and the leadership is not well structured to be able to leverage those tools to improve the system. So you have a system that is there, you have a problem, and then you have solutions, but then the problem and the solutions are not talking to each other. You're having to try a different whole route to try and get management, to get into buying into software, to get people to decentralize care. When the clinician is there, you have the clinician in the hospital that cannot take that decision on their own because they don't have the power to do that. So you see a systemic problem. That is like primary thing. The second thing is with the software, and I share a bit about what Sami said, which is when we develop this, as to how we develop this, you realize that there are a lot of tools. I was recently at Kolibu, and I shouldn't have mentioned the clinic, but I was at Kolibu, and they have this new hospital-wide software. And to be honest, Steve, it took the clinician more time trying to use the software than trying to like provide the care that I was there for, right? It's the care totally, if she was using paper-based or something, she would have been done in say 5 minutes. It took us about 30 minutes with multiple calls to like, okay, how do I fix this? And this is novel, how do I fix this thing, right? So you have technology that has come in the bid to help the system, but then it's adding on to the work that the clinician, there's that kind of the disconnection. As we build these things, I think we have to go the mobile money route, right? Africa didn't go picking up credit cards, debit cards, online payments, sleep things. We look at the system and said, these are our people. Somebody wants to send a quick money to someone, let's put an agent there that quickly picks that. So that kind of leapfrog model that we would have to develop our own solution. Unfortunately, the solutions that work well in the Western world don't really seem to work well. They seem to be complicating the things. And what you realize is that if over time people are going to just drop off the technology, like the technology is cumbersome. We face a bit of that with our partners, and it's a problem that we try to solve. Like we have this nice tool that gives you reminders and gives you all the stuff, right? And we are trying to get them to, and we have to go back forth every time slightly, and it's an iterative process. And I think that is one of the things that developers or technicians have to solve. Yeah.
Thank you again. Thank you. So from what I understand for both of you, actually more or less for everybody, there's an element of one, training, education, service delivery, really to upgrade everybody to the digital age. And the bottleneck is essentially the capacity of both people and organization to adapt to the new technology that is way ahead of them. So probably there's something that needs to be done in terms of human-centered design, etc. But let's quickly turn to Laud. If you can give us a quick view of his view of the challenges in the healthcare sector, and then we'll move quickly to other points in the agenda. Laud.
Okay. So thank you very much. Once again, I agree with all that have been said. But the major challenge when you put all of them together is the fact that healthcare is not centralized in the country. Every single decision comes from Accra. It comes from the top. So even if you have a solution that is geared towards a small facility in the Upper West region where I am from, okay, it has to be approval from Accra before that solution can be used. And so that is where the issue is. You can get all the doctors involved, you can get all the pharmacists, the labs, everybody involved in developing the solution. But once approval does not come from Accra, it is going to be very difficult to adapt that solution and use it. Out there, most of the hospitals are decentralized. So the medical superintendents basically have control as to they can agree to use a particular facility, a particular technology or not. In Ghana, if you do that without talking to your district health director or talking to the regional metro and all of those people, you end up, being in trouble for doing that. And that is where the major issue is. So I think that in addressing this, while we talk about adopting a lot of these technologies, and these are brilliant technologies that are coming on board, we have to start thinking about where people can take decisions for themselves when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to the hospital, I'm talking about the hospital managers, because everything is linked to Accra. So that is where the issue is. So that is one of the big issues I find. The second one is the fact that most of the time when we talk about access to healthcare, we talk about access to a doctor, access to drugs, some once in a while, mental health and nutrition. We do not usually talk about access to diagnostics a lot, but that area is really lacking. Let's give you statistics. There are about 7,884 facilities in the public sector in Ghana. Okay, unfortunately, there are only 500 laboratories in the public sector. What that means is that only 6%, okay, like in terms of the public sector, only 6% of health facilities have labs. What it means that the 94%, okay, when you go to the hospital, the doctor will either just look at you and based on the symptoms you're having, give you a prescription if they feel they want to treat you the same day, or ask you to go to a different lab, probably in a different community, and all of that. And you forget that the person has to leave work to go and do the labs. The person has to basically take transport and all of that. So these are the major issues, and that is where Redbird and other companies that bring these diagnostics to the doorsteps are very important. But then we also have to strengthen these labs. So I think access to health diagnostics is also one of the major challenges that I find. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Laud. I think with what you are saying, we need to take a positive view now and actually transform these challenges into opportunities. And I'm sure each of your companies are looking at those opportunities that you find in your respective areas of engagement. What I would say is that we're going to take a few questions from the audience, but in the meantime, one thing that I really would want us to discuss briefly while the audience is posting additional questions is the biggest trend you are seeing. So I think it was Andrew who mentioned mobile digitization. Myself, I did so. I'm thinking about things about medical records, the cybersecurity around it, centralized medical record, digitization from paper to electronic records. It can be machine learning, AI. In the health tech industry, all the devices that are remote and mobile health or telehealth. So for you, what are your maybe one or two key trends for the next, let's say, 10 years that you see would likely unfold for Ghana? Daniel, where do you see all of this thing going?
For me, I think one of the things that COVID-19 did was accelerate the fourth industrial revolution for health tech. And increasingly, people want access to quality healthcare in the comfort of their home or their office. And so there is the demand, there is the need, people are begging for it. There just aren't enough solutions that are solving all their challenges.
Let me be a bit controversial here. From what we said before, we're saying a lot of people are looking for mobile solution, technology solution to help them with their healthcare. But when the adoption by the people in the actual industry is so low, how do we go? You skip them and go directly to the end patient, or you engage them for them to be doing that? Because you as a tech company, you cannot replace all of these people who actually engage on a daily basis with the most people.
No, you can't. We can't do that. So let me just share a background to something we have done. You remember I told you we've actually digitized the private health insurance space. So for instance, in Ghana, we started this process 6.5 years ago Today, we connect over 1,000 health service providers in this country on all our platforms. And the platforms are used by the pharmacists, the doctors, all the people in the hospital space. So we've come from a place where we've built trust with them, took all their inputs, insights to create the platform. Now, based on creating that platform of trust with the healthcare service providers, we are now leveraging that to create solutions for the patient, because we are in a position of trust with the providers, and they trust that whatever solution we put out there would be geared in a manner that will enable them to be able to serve the patients well. So I think it is very important. You can't do this with eliminating them from the picture completely. It's impossible. So we are in the process of launching a new product, and we've taken the same approach all the other panelists have mentioned. We've gone as far as speaking with the regulators, doing demos, trying to let them understand what we are bringing, foreseeing what regulation might come in, and making sure it's aligned so that when it does come out, it is accepted as well. It's a very tedious process, but I think digitization is what the patient wants. It is what the customers are crying for. Everybody on this panel today buys something digitally. And you all wish, if you needed your medication today, you could probably reach out to your pharmacy digitally, your trusted pharmacy, not a pharmacy you don't know. So not a pure online pharmacy, the pharmacy you know digitally. You could reach out to your doctor you trust digitally, and they'll be able to support you, right? And I think that is what the people are crying for. And that is where the trend is. Anybody who can crack it has hit the jackpot. But that is where you see a lot of apps. I think since COVID, I've seen a lot of apps, a lot of people putting out things there that are trying to connect patients to the healthcare needs that they have out there. And I think that will be the trend going forward.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you. So can we have maybe Laud? We haven't had him so too much. Laud, please. Tell us, yes, what are the trends? AI, machine learning, mobile health, telehealth, diagnostics, whatever. What is your trend for the next 10 years in Ghana?
I think that for the next 10 years, it is actually going to be personalized health. It doesn't matter how that personalized health comes about, but personalized health is going to be
Please, just define personalized health for everybody.
I'm going to talk about that. You see, the middle class is growing very, very, very rapidly. And previously, you finish school. It took you a long time before you could even think about buying a car and getting a house and all of that. Today, that's one of the first things graduates do when they get full-time employment is to buy a car. The middle class is expanding, and people are busy. People are doing a lot of things. So if I can basically sit at home when I'm sick, and every single part where I can be able to talk to a doctor, I can be able to get my medicines delivered to me, I can be able to get tests done, everything done for me in the comfort of my home, in the office, or something like that. People are going to go in for that, and I think that is going to be the best trend. So if you're a tech company and you're a health tech company, thinking about how do I make healthcare convenient to people? How do I make it so that somebody doesn't have to go to the hospital, wait for hours to see a doctor, wait for hours to go to the lab, wait for hours to go to the pharmacy? That is where in the next 10 years the trend is going to go. People would want to have the convenience of doing their job, doing whatever they want to do, and still get healthcare at affordable cost and very convenient cost. So basically, that is where I see the trend going in the next 10 years.
Thank you very much, Laud. Selorm, and then we'll finish with Andrew. Oh, Andrew, go on, Andrew.
All right, yeah. Selorm, go first.
Okay, Selorm, go on.
Why do you want me to go first? Anyway, so let's picture this. Let's picture this scenario. I think it's connected services. Why do I say connected services? What do you call it? Daniel rightly said that some people will hit the jackpot if they're able to do certain things. It's about disruption. How are we able to disrupt the system such that if my wife is pregnant, for example, she gets a test kit from Anthony, Laud, and then that test kit results can be put onto some kind of interface, and then immediately she puts it on that interface, she can now tag her doctor. Her doctor can now say that, okay, you have to start taking these vitamins, and then what do you call it? Daniel's chain of pharmacists come up, pharmacy shops come up and goes like, okay, this is the generic that the doctor prescribed. Which pharmacy is close to you? I live at, let's say, Kolegono. So if I'm at Kolegono, which pharmacy is closest to where I live, or what are the list of pharmacies? And then the doctor prescribes and says that, okay, check this code, now go to this pharmacy, submit this code, they'll look at the generics, whichever one you want to buy, you can buy. Now, let's say, for example, you couldn't even go there, but you now have the code and you send to the nearest pharmacy available to you. You pick the one that you want to pick. Then they're able to deliver to you. And then you now report back to your doctor and say that there's a delivery report.
I love that.
This is something that has gone full circle. It has taken advantage of all of us here.
Yeah.
And it also has taken advantage of the convenience to the patient. The problem of Laud saying that somebody needs to walk all the way to a doctor. The doctor can do some of these things virtually because now they'll have even a more personal relationship with the patients. The pharmacist only does what they need to do to dispatch the products without having to spend so much time managing even a full shop. The pharmacist in this particular case can be an online pharmacist, for example, who has a certain stock of shops that they can do, and then they can be a pharmacist on call, like how they have it in the US. And then the delivery is done. Everything is personalized. It involves a combination of all our basic technologies together. The truth about the matter is that some of these are already being done. This scenario that I'm telling you about is something that we have spent the last 4 years developing. Now, the issue is, how then are we able to make this attractive to the biggest players in the space, which are, like I said right from the beginning, and like what Anthony is saying, or Laud has been saying, the biggest players are centralized. They are a giant silo located somewhere in ministries in Accra. And once you start pitching these things to them, all they see are the bottlenecks and they don't see the prospects. The way you beamed, Steve, when you smiled, the first thing they'll tell you is, but what if the guy is sleeping and it's not by his phone? Or some funny excuse like that. You know, and so these are some of
we need to do advocacy for healthcare decentralization in Ghana, yes, just like anybody else. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you see, so those are the things. The innovative spirit is there. I mean, a lot of us are spending hours and hours to build some of these things, and we see the future. We now just need to bring the rest of us together to buy into that future and take a step to actively participate in it. Yes, some of us are not doing our bit by making sure the processes are seamless enough, but it only takes constant usage and fine-tuning. I mean, the whys didn't get there in a day, so we shouldn't expect that we can bring magic, but we can let the magic evolve to the point where it becomes something that becomes a staple. That's what I have to say.
Thank you very much. You've given us a lot of hopes and opportunities to collaborate even more. So I'm really going to take your guys' word for it. Create that WhatsApp group, start doing some advocacy, and I'll be with you guys. You can connect with the Accra Angels. We'll be there to support you. Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good I made Selorm go first because I think he hit the nail right on the spot. I think as we go forward, there's going to be the connectivity, right? The ability to connect the various parts that you're having. So you're having pharmacies, you're having wellness centers, you're having clinics, doctors. Ability to be able to connect those, and not only those, but connecting different systems. So you see that we have a lot of systems in place. It's going to be difficult for one player to be the all-in and all-in for everything. So sort of the system that is able to engage the various aspects. So someone engaging insurance, someone engaging the rapid test, someone engaging the patient, someone engaging history and all that, to be able to bring that into a seamless way. The challenge with that is how we build that, right? I think most of the time it feels like we're trying to build the thing now, and that is what the big people at the top see. Like once they see the 10 years now, the way you Selorm was able to like seamlessly just explain it, they don't get it because they are sitting in a system that cannot. You go to a big facility and every unit that you go to, like you have to carry your folder to the next one. So you are telling him a doctor prescribing this. He looks at you. You're from Mars, right? Like this is still the other thing that I feel would come in, right? Is if you look at and Steve, you mentioned it at the beginning, the doctor-patient ratio, like the healthcare worker and patient ratio, like the infrastructure that we have and the needs, we are not going to be able to build as much as possible. We can't produce enough doctors to just cope, right? And we are just realizing, for example, like you mentioned, even the hypertension, a lot of them even go undiagnosed. Like you have a lot of people, they tell you he slept and never woke up, and we blame all the witches and all the wizards. Like this is just hypertension. Nobody does an autopsy. You go to the police, you get all that. So it comes in with the diagnostics, which are existing. I'm showing you. I mean, and the genesis of Redbird, actually, my co-founder Patrick, he had a company in Boston that was making like rapid, like you see the malaria test cassette, like liver function test that you can do on malaria test cassettes. And it was during one of his research in Kenya that he realized that he was asking people, what do you want? And people actually were like, I want to test typhoid, I want to test malaria. And it's like, these things are things that are already existing. Like, yes. We tell people, for example, I can give you a cholesterol results, not lab grade, but near lab grade in less than 15 minutes. They are like, no, this is not possible. But these are tools that not even we develop. These are things that are already on the market. So the ability of us to be able to leverage even existing technology and bring that forward, rather than trying to build them ourselves, like bring that forward and centralize that. Like Laud mentioned, 6% of health facilities have labs, right? But all the health facilities that I work with in the Ghana Health Service, we had malaria rapid test kits that everybody, like, you could do it. So these are things that are existing. It's about leveraging those to be able to start meeting the immediate needs. And then once we get that, then you lay on the tech part, which is like connecting people, even from, let's say, a CHIPS compound, if not to Kolebu, a CHIPS compound to at least the district hospital, right? So if you have, say, a diabetic patient, they don't need to come into the district hospital to get metformin refill, right? You can go to the CHIPS compound, take a test, take an HbA1c test that is rapid, send that to the doctor, and he tells the CHO or the nurse at the CHIPS compound, just repeat, take this pack of metformin and give to the patient and have them come back. Like that is actually simple things that we have to solve. And then once we solve that and people get used to it, it's like the mobile money. Like once people get used to it, they get hooked on like this is a different level of health. Now I want more. Right? I want more. Like telecom. You don't need to do it from home. If you can just walk into the nearest pharmacy and you connect to a doctor. Like we spoke to a partner in Kenya who does that. They have a whole consulting room in the pharmacy. You walk in, you sit down, there's a video conference. You don't have
Andrew, I can see you're passionate. Just for the sake of time, we have to conclude. I think our time is running out. We've got a couple of minutes to go. So, I mean, essentially, I fully understand what you mean. And again, that goes back to last mile or decentralized healthcare to the closest possible to basically the patient, essentially. So I'm going to have to thank you all for this very engaging panel. I've learned a lot, thanks to you. I hope our listeners and viewers have learned also a lot. There was a question specifically about community-based healthcare planning and services across Ghana. How can technology be applied to those to enhance the impact? I think you've answered the question already. Essentially, it's decentralized as much as possible and training so that people don't need to go to the central location each time. But I think it's also, and I'm going to draw a little parallel. Maybe let's say 6-7 years ago, Momo wasn't a term for mobile money. Just like I'm in Kenya now, M-Pesa is equivalent to a mobile money. So probably at some point, there would have to be some sort of campaign for people to engage with healthcare in a digitized way through mobile and other devices and make it quote unquote sexy for Ghanaians. That's what I understand. If something is trendy, the big shots, quote unquote, or the stars are using it and promoting it, everybody else tends to adopt it in a much easier way. So hopefully with your new group and policy.
I comment, hands up, I comment. We'll do it.
Okay, we can really move the needle. Maybe because we haven't heard from Laud much, and also from Daniel. Maybe Daniel first, if you want to give us his last words on, how can technology move the needle in Africa. You mentioned a lot. Maybe you want to have 2 last sentences, please.
Yeah. So I've heard a lot from my co-panels and my co-panelists, and as someone who we've been able to successfully integrate Zipline into the public health space, hearing my co-panelists, I think there's a lot we should discuss. I see the challenges you are having, but it's not impossible. And what I see is you don't understand where they are coming from as well. You are seeing the true good, but you're not appreciating the administrative challenges they have that are just enshrined in law, right? And that is always the point to start from. We've been very successful. We've integrated drone healthcare into the entire public health space because we went from a point of policy. We made sure there was a policy written, there were SOPs developed, there was training extensively all along. What you were describing, the primary healthcare, having like diabetes tests done at a CHIPS compound, you need to do what they call task shifting, meaning that they need to go through several series of ensuring that those people at that point are trained. So if you appreciate it and you can show them that you have a pathway, there's in fact, in a very short space, you can cross the bridge. And I think that is why we need a WhatsApp group. I can share some of my learnings. That is actually my skill set, helping break those barriers. And we can all
do advocacy.
In that regard.
Okay.
But I think there's a lot of challenges.
I was saying please short for the time, please. Last point.
There's a lot of challenges, and through collaboration, we can all solve them. Yeah, that's my final word. Thank you.
Thank you. So we hear from Laud now, please.
In fact, I was prepared to give my time to is it Daniel? Because what he's saying, I'm very, very, very interested in it. But just one sentence to end. I think that in developing technology, we should also not forget about the rural folks. Most of our technologies are applications and all of that. But sometimes the SSD, the USSD is also very important. So while we are developing technology, let's not forget that we are leaving a lot of people behind. So we should try adopting technologies that that our rural folks can also use. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Laud. Last 2 words, 2 words from Selorm.
Well, I think in all of this, we haven't said one final thing. Where is the money? When we are doing all of these things, maybe when we move to the WhatsApp group, we'll talk about that. I've been in the advocacy space. I'm very active in the advocacy space, and I'm telling you, it's not as simple as it looks. And then secondly, even though we are doing these bridges, for example, then the biggest question now comes up, as in where the money is to run some of these things. Is it that when we do these things, we position ourselves for VC takeover, or we position ourselves to be able to run these? We run as a social enterprise, for example, so our profit is based on both impact as well as monetary profit. So we split the objectives that way. But for most people, it can't work that easily, especially if you have a bigger technology platform to handle multiple subscriptions, cloud subscriptions, paying your developers, etc. All of these things also require money. So sometimes, even when the solutions are there, usually the heavy lifting requires some kind of money. And that is the next big question.
Thank you very much. But the money question is a good one. That I'll leave. Andrew, last words.
All right. Thanks for giving me the last word. I think my last word should be, as you go forward, decentralization and just leveraging existing technology. I think those would be the things that serve us in the short to medium term. And then having long-term thinking along that line. I start with Selorm Branttie, like where's the money, right? It's going to take money to be able to do that, especially if you want to go you want to go deep, yeah. And then Sammy, we need some of all the tips that we can get to be able to get the back end to be able to do this, because I think these are huge endeavors, and they work really well when it's system-wide, right? Zipline, you're integrated.
Andrew, thank you.
The supply chain and all that. It's works.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew.
How to find the money and be able to leverage that for us. So within the system with you guys as well. Yeah.
All right.
But it's on the app. Healthcare sector is on the app.
Okay.
It's on the app. Compared to when we're growing up.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you very much, Andrew. So I really would like to take the opportunity to thank all of you for this excellent conversation and outline of the tech opportunities in the opportunities for tech to help the healthcare sector in Ghana. I hope the audience has enjoyed this conversation and questions. And obviously, there are other programs running within the Tech in Ghana today. So please stay online, stay with us. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.